Here's what's interesting about Charles Oliveira. When Charles Oliveira fights, even though he's the champion, he fights like a berserker. He fights, he puts himself in danger. Like, he doesn't fight safe. He doesn't fight to try to outpoint you. He doesn't fight tactically, like where he's trying to get, you know, the least amount of damage.
I feel so powerful at 155. I'm gonna clutch his chin and it will explode.
So there's now a bit of tension building between the two of them. And if I'm just engaging, I'm loving this because Topuria wants to fight for the belt and he's going back and forth talking about Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira's already been beaten by Arman Tsarukyan and by Islam Makhachev. So for Charles Oliveira, this might be the path back to fighting for the belt, to getting a rematch with Islam, because I'm not sure that Charles Oliveira right now is the guy that gets the title fight.
The voice of the UFC and MMA's most esteemed analyst, Joe Rogan, recently released with glowing praise for Charles Oliveira before his highly anticipated showdown with Ilia Topuria. Rogan praised Oliveira's phenomenal ground game as being one of the sport's slickest and deadliest today. He stressed that Oliveira's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially his transitions and submission setups, might be a huge threat to any opponent. Rogan's praise solidifies Oliveira's reputation as a deadly ground specialist.
Here's what's interesting about Charles Oliveira. When Charles Oliveira fights, even though he's the champion, he fights like a berserker. He fights, he puts himself in danger. Like, he doesn't fight safe. He doesn't fight to try to outpoint you. He doesn't fight tactically, like where he's trying to get, you know, the least amount of damage and, you know, and drag you into deep water and then strategically try to take you out in the fourth and fifth round. No. From the moment the first bell rings, he's coming at you.
Engaging,
guns blazing.
Yeah.
Oliveira's so different than anybody else. When he gets hit, he just lays on his back.
Yeah.
And he's like, come get some of this. And nobody wants that guard
He gets
game.
a break.
He's got the most submissions in the history of the sport.
He recovers.
Yes,
so
because nobody wants to go to the ground with him.
Most time guys will hurt a guy, come in and just go crazy, but not with him.
No, you don't want that ground game.
Yeah.
His ground game is so elite. It's so good. I mean, I wonder how he would do in a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, because I think he would do very well.
Former UFC middleweight champion and current commentator Michael Bisping, however, presented the opposite opinion to Rogan's view. While giving credit to Oliveira's grappling background, Bisping shone the light on Ilia Topuria and lauded his well-rounded and aggressive style of fighting. Bisping highlighted Ilia's sharp striking, aggressive pressure, and underrated takedown defense as why he was capable of canceling out Oliveira's grappling supremacy. Ilia's youth, confidence, and explosive style could be the difference in outclassing the veteran, says Bisping. He is convinced that Ilia has the momentum and arsenal to win.
Ilia Topuria, on the flip side, he's clean, he's composed, he's calm, he's in the moment, the hands are high, the base is low, the head is moving constantly, and he's looking at his opponent. He's tracking him down across the octagon. He's using the feet to corral him against the fence. He's looking for openings, and then he explodes. And when he explodes, we know he's got big power. He might explode the chin of Charles Oliveira. Whereas Charles Oliveira, on the flip side, with the shooter box style, he's walking forward, the head's on a straight line, and he's just, the chin's a little up, he's throwing knees, he's throwing elbows, he's throwing everything but the kitchen sink, and we absolutely love it. But that's got him in trouble before, okay? Look at the fights he had, even with Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler had him in a bit of trouble. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, great fights, tremendous wins, but it wasn't exactly one-way traffic. Charles Oliveira often finds himself in a little bit of trouble. That's what makes him exciting. That's what makes a great fight. When the UFC are handing out fight of the night bonuses, they're not giving it to the person that just steamrolls one person and knocks them out and makes short work of it. No, that's a performance of the night. The fight of the night goes to the back and forth action, and that's what Charles Oliveira is always in. We don't see that from Ilia Topuria.
The hype around Oliveira versus Topuria fight has been noticed by such big names as MMA guru and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Both pundits were hyped up on the stylistic clash and on how unknown the fight's outcome was. MMA guru noted how each fighter possesses danger in different regions, Oliveira in submissions and Topuria in knockouts. Mighty Mouse liked the close to the vein nature of the fight and how it can be a candidate for fight of the year. They both think that this fight can be a fireworks type of fight.
But I don't even mind an Ilia Topuria Charles Oliveira in the meantime for a title shot. I think that there's a theory about, you know, if there's a belt on the line, it's much bigger.
Yeah.
But people just love the two names. Don't always have to be a belt on the line. They do this with a BMF belt. But if Ilia Topuria fights Charles Oliveira on a pay-per-view, That's a big deal.
Oh, it's going to be a banger fight.
They don't need to wait for an interim belt. They don't need to wait for an undisputed. So, yeah. I don't know how he's going to do it lightweight, though. Maybe you can speak on that. He's a smaller guy coming up.
It's a smaller coming up. It'll be interesting because he is bigger from when I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like 191, I think he was walking around. It's massive. So for him to cut to 145, it just seems almost like, how did he do that? But now that he's going up to 155, I always like when athletes go up.
In a pre-fight video, Ilia Topuria was not shy about stating his belief in himself. The upstart featherweight contender made some daring claims in a couple of interviews recently, saying he will not only beat Olivera, but dominate him in the process. Topuria forecasted either a knockout or total domination during the fight, negating the idea that Olivera has any kind of significant danger for him. His blunt style has brought him into the spotlight, with supporters and experts divided between praising his confidence and being wary of his boldness.
I feel so powerful at 155. I'm gonna clutch his chin and it will explode.
Sport legend Georges St-Pierre also added his voice of great praise for Olivera's overall development. GSP highlighted Olivera's lethal ground game, calling his jiu-jitsu elite and his submission transitions world-class. However, what impressed GSP most was Olivera's stand-up. He pointed out how Olivera's stand-up is now a legitimate finishing tool, with punches and kicks both playing a role in his recent victories. GSP cautioned that anyone who would underestimate Olivera's stand-up, including Topuria, would be making a grave error. His words depict Olivera as a balanced fighter who can finish the fight standing and on the ground.
So my prognostic for this fight is that if the fight stay generally in the center of the octagon, that will give the advantage to Olivera. And Olivera, I believe, on the other side, he need a little bit more space, especially to move his hips, to be able to strike and to do some of his favorite submission. So I think, therefore, for this reason, that's how the fight will go down, depending on who is able to implement his game plan.
In terms of predictions, Khabib Nurmagomedov has bet big on Ilia Topuria. Khabib knows Olivera's resume and achievements, but is convinced that Topuria's pressure, balance, and all-around skill set make him the favorite.
Ilia Topuria. He said, you know what? I want to go up to 155 pounds, fight the #1 contender, and then if he wins that, then he fights Islam. I think that's good, brother. I think he deserves.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira, he's next. Why not? Because there is nobody.
So you don't think right now Ilia deserves a shot at 155 pounds?
Without fighting in 155? Without? No, I don't agree. Because Islam already give chance. And people talk bad about, like, oh, he fight 2 times with Volkanovski.
He further commends Topuria for staying composed in messy situations, thus controlling the tempo of the fight and making his opponent react instead of acting. Khabib's breakdown clearly establishes that the bout is more than just a style showdown. To him, Topuria is set up to overwhelm Olivera if he plays the game the right way.
But the UFC pushed this fight, and this fight was good in first fight. But why Islam have to give 3-time chance for 145 champion? Why? It's not fair for 155 pounds.
Right,
But if he move up and he beat somebody like Charles Oliveira, of course. You know what I think?
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
I like Charles, but I think so too.
No, I think Ilia can beat him.
Meanwhile, Yoel Romero was not shy in his evaluation, going as far as declaring Ilia Topuria invincible at 155 pounds. Romero is truly awed by Topuria's raw strength, accurate striking precision, and aggressive tempo that never lets up in the bout. He pointed out Topuria's serene intensity that psyches out opponents and exhausts them physically.
Charles Oliveira contra Ilia Topuria
por el cinturón.
Y para mí Ilia gana esa pelea. Entonces, Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, en el mismo cartelera. Y vamos por ahí.
Eso sería una super pelea, súper interesante en 155. Yo la veo súper buenísima porque hay algo que es muy fundamental. Si Ilia para 145 libras es muy fuerte, en 155 es prácticamente casi imbatible.
Romero opines that Topuria's strength combined with his toughness makes him ideal for the lightweight division and foresees that if Olivera ever meets Topuria, the Brazilian will have a rough night that won't probably end well.
¿Sabes por qué? ¿Tú sabes cuánto pesa Ilia?
Me dicen que camina en 180.
Ajá.
Y,
Ajá.
bro,
sea, que él puede hacer 105. Si él puede hacer 145, lo que están viendo y saben lo que estamos hablando, de bajar de corte de peso. Si él puede bajar de 180 a 145 y cuando se recupera, mira cómo luce. La velocidad, la reacción, el endurance, o sea, la capacidad aeróbica. Ya sabemos que la capacidad anaeróbica es un monstruo cuando sale explosivo.
Ilia Topuria's trash talk has been relentless, as he openly downplays Olivera's career, indicating that the Brazilian's losses exceed his victories and declaring Olivera is not a true threat. Topuria even confessed that he wouldn't be working hard to prepare for the fight, an attitude which has further fueled the hostility between them. Such disrespect has polarized fans and fighters equally, positioning Topuria as a cocky and maybe reckless upstart who doesn't appreciate a former undisputed lightweight champion's achievements and legacy.
Bueno, en primer lugar agradecerle a Charles, la verdad, por haber aceptado el reto, ¿no? Algo que Islam no hizo y tiene que pagar el precio por Islam. Me da mucha pena por Charles, pero bueno, al final del día es mi trabajo. Voy a cumplir otro sueño más que siempre tuve, que era convertirme en campeón de otra división más, por lo que el resultado será el mismo de siempre, salir victorioso y seguir con el invicto.
Topuria has gone beyond simply downplaying Olivera's ability. He's questioned his mentality in the octagon, claiming Olivera gives up too easily when things get tough. This is a personal affront to Olivera's heart and will, hitting a sensitive note with fans who are aware of Olivera's background of overcoming hardship. MMA veteran Michael Bisping has highlighted how such verbal sparring fanned the flames of this nascent rivalry, portraying Topuria as risking his neck and underestimating Olivera's toughness and strength under pressure.
I think that he's the kind of guy that when he feels that you are more powerful, he gives up. He gives up like fast. I don't think that he's the kind of fighter where he finds like some adversidad. How you say
adversary?
That? Yeah, adversary that he keeps going. No, he's like, he gives up. 10 losses. 10. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4,
Can you go to his
5,
record? But
6,
I think it was
7, 8, 9. It's 10.
He's talking a bit of He's come out and said on June 28th, another dream will come true. I'll be the champion of the lightweight division. Charles, my apologies in advance. I'm just fighting for my dreams. It's unfortunate that Islam Makhachev had to run away.
Topuria's skepticism regarding Olivera's resilience persists as he questions Olivera's strength in coping with adversity. He implies that Olivera diminishes the moment when the fight is against him, criticizing his mental strength rather than his technical ability. This incessant psychological move is a bid to reduce Olivera's status as a fighter who has repeatedly come back from adversity. These psychological games have pumped up the hype and tension surrounding their possible fight, putting another layer of drama in an already highly anticipated bout.
And he said, yeah, I'd love to go for a walk with Charles Olivera. Actually, yes, to give him a bit of culture, to teach him something, because it's obvious that this kid hasn't read a single page of a newspaper. Another question, please, because this isn't a good time to talk about somebody like that. So there's Topuria being dismissive. There's Olivera talking shit. Topuria needs to prove himself, apparently according to the champ. Olivera needs that last final fight to get over the hump to challenge for the belt. And in the meantime, you've got Justin Gaethje, a fan favourite, a company man that's always putting on great fights. All Justin Gaethje's got to do is stay nice and quiet. Let these two keep chatting it up, talking a bit of shit, and Justin Gaethje might just emerge out of this as the winner, as the guy that gets to go up against Islam Makhachev. And then Topuria versus Olivera, they might fight for a #1 contender spot. Whoever wins that gets to fight the winner between Islam and Justin Gaethje.
Olivera vigorously denied being a quitter under pressure, which he says is a ridiculous thing to claim. He repeatedly asserted that he is no quitter, citing his career-long toughness and resilience in the face of adversity. Olivera's counterattack highlights his psychological preparedness for the battle in front of him, demonstrating a fighter ready and eager to prove his detractors wrong yet again within the octagon. This will be essential to him when he fights next.
I feel like every time you fight, your opponents sometimes bring up this concept of you being a quitter or having quit in the past. The fact that you weren't able to train that effectively and still went in there and went 5 rounds and won the fight, does that prove, do you enjoy proving to everyone that like you're not a quitter, and in fact, actually, you're one of the best in the game.
Cara, sendo bem sincero, eu nem ligo porque esses caras falam. Esses caras têm que inventar alguma coisa pra falar. Então, pra mim não faz diferença. Eu só quero vir aqui, tá bem, tá feliz e fazer aquilo acontecer.
Rather than be upset by Topuria's jabs, Olivera has taken them to serve as motivation and sharpen his focus. He's pushed back with redoubled training and resolve, looking to show his detractors wrong in the cage. Olivera's message comes through loud and clear. This bout is not merely about victory, but restoring his legacy and place in the lightweight division. His newfound motivation betrays a man intent on shutting detractors up and restoring the championship through a statement win over the upstart sensation.
Então, eu tô em busca do título. Eu não corro de ninguém, nunca corri, não vai ser agora que eu vou correr. Eu tô pronto para lutar contra qualquer um desses caras, né? Respeito todos eles, mas vou imprimir meu ritmo, meu jogo. Por que não, né? Se for pelo título, por que não lutar com o Topuria? Eu tô em busca do título, eu não quero fazer mais uma luta para poder esperar o título, não. Pra mim isso não me interessa, eu quero lutar pelo título.
During a recent press conference, Topuria boldly linked Olivera to Islam Makhachev's actions, threatening Olivera that he would pay for that. This illustrates Topuria's hot-headedness and the utilization of psychological warfare, indicating he isn't merely preparing for a battle, but engaged in an inner battle. Topuria views Olivera as a representative of something greater, and that brings the personal factor into the bout. This demonstrates the aggressive intent and confidence that Topuria is entering the cage with, which suggests a high-stakes battle.
Bueno, en primer lugar agradecerle a Charles, la verdad, por haber aceptado el reto, ¿no? Algo que Islam no hizo y tiene que pagar el precio por Islam. Me da mucha pena por Charles, pero bueno, al final del día es mi trabajo. Voy a cumplir otro sueño más que siempre tuve, que era convertirme en campeón de otra división más, por lo que el resultado será el mismo de siempre, salir victorioso y seguir con el invicto.
Michael Bisping highlighted just how important this bout is to Olivera's reputation, reminding us that beating an undefeated challenger such as Ilia Topuria would shut many of his critics up. Bisping set up the fight as a tale of redemption and legacy, implying that Olivera is motivated not only by victory, but by a desire to reprove himself as one of the all-time great lightweights in MMA. This turns the fight from merely another fight. It's a moment of defining for Olivera's career and reputation.
So there's now a bit of tension building between the two of them. And if I'm just engaging, I'm loving this because Topuria wants to fight for the belt and he's going back and forth talking about Charles Olivera. Charles Oliveira's already been beaten by Arman Tsarukyan and by Islam Makhachev. So for Charles Olivera, this might be the path back to fighting for the belt, to getting a rematch with Islam, because I'm not sure that Charles Olivera right now is the guy that gets the title fight.
Adding fuel to the hype, Paddy Pimblett weighed in on the increasing number of Ilia Topuria supporters. With his own brash personality and outspoken nature, Pimblett's support gives Topuria even more backing within the MMA world. The collective endorsement of fighters like Bisping and Pimblett signals a high confidence that Topuria is a serious contender headed toward lightweight supremacy, which means the upcoming bout is an event not to be missed.
Do you think Ilia beats Charles then?
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched. He always gets cracked.
Yeah.
So,
he's reckless, but he's super exciting.
Yeah, he is.
And he's dangerous.
Exciting. If he gets him down, I can see him winning, because that £10 difference is a big difference.
Yeah.
145 to 155, it's a big difference. People don't understand that because they don't watch the sport or they're not involved in the sport. But that £10 makes a big difference. And especially, like, Charles is like my height. Ilia's like down here when I stand up. Know what I mean?
Henry Cejudo also commented on the Olivera versus Topuria bout, emphasizing the uphill struggle Olivera has. Cejudo noted how Olivera will have to change things a great deal if he is to beat Topuria's aggressive style and age. His observation speaks to Olivera needing to change in the cage or get buried, making this bout a compelling battle of styles and ages.
Charles Olivera has fought the who's at 155 pounds. I mean, everything absolutely changes, man, with Charles Olivera taking down Michael Chandler, with Charles Olivera taking down Justin Gaethje with those beautiful double legs. But I will say this, when I think of this fight, I always think of the distance that Charles Olivera brings, and particularly he likes to be in close. And the fact that he likes to be in close with an inside fighter, it doesn't make sense. And that was one thing, the person that needs to make adjustments in this fight, typically you would say the lighter fighter, the smaller fighter going up, but not really. Charles Olivera has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought, from Chandler to Gaethje to Islam. I mean, what happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? So when I'm looking at this fight, I'm saying Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's gonna be the double champ. It's gonna be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a 2-division world champion.
Joe Rogan complimented Ilia Topuria's work ethic and training regime, proclaiming him to be one of the most interesting and well-rounded lightweights in the sport today. Rogan's seal of approval is from an esteemed voice in MMA commentary and lends credibility to the claim that Topuria is an actual up-and-comer. His skill set and style have gained the attention of the MMA world and make him a serious contender to challenge Oliveira's legacy.
And Ilia Topuria is one of the absolute best fighters in the world. The dude is just fucking phenomenal. One of the things that's phenomenal about him is his technique. He just sees that hand coming towards him and he's ducking. It's all like slight slips away and it's slight motions, which is all you need to get away from a punch, right?
Lastly, Chael Sonnen has given a strong endorsement to Topuria's future, even speculating on future matchups beyond Olivera. Sonnen opined that a bout between Topuria and Paddy Pimblett would be an exciting clash, mentioning the excitement and hype surrounding Topuria's career path. This level of speculation from a veteran analyst such as Sonnen speaks volumes about the confidence the world of MMA has in Topuria's ability to be a top dog.
Paddy versus Ilia, is that the fight to make? I mean, if Ilia gets through Charles, do you reserve Paddy for him? Do you have Paddy do anything in between? Do you make Paddy the backup fighter for the very night of Charles versus Topuria? It's an interesting question. I mean, they have thrown such a remarkable, and this is when we talk about the dominoes, guys. We talk about the dominoes, and when one piece falls and they all go down, it really is incredible. We're still reeling from some of the announcements that Dana made, and it wasn't just the fights that Dana put together. It's what do we do with some of the players of the pieces that Dana didn't do anything with.
Thanks for tuning in to the ultimate showdown debate between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. Who do you think will take the crown, the undefeated powerhouse or the submission king? Drop your predictions and thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a fight breakdown. Stay tuned for more MMA analysis and fight updates right here.